The 7 things you should be talking about today. Number 7.
An Alabama House committee rejected a bill that would have held parents criminally liable if their child brought a gun to school. Yep. If that gun was unsecured at home, they'd be held responsible. The opponents argued that it failed to account for diverse household situations, such as divorced families and joint custody agreements. What? So let me see if I understand this correctly. I was going to lock my gun up, but I got a divorce. I was going to lock my gun up, but my joint custody agreement stops me from doing so? This is moronic. It's not an infringement on the Second Amendment. It's none of those things. This is incredibly stupid and embarrassing. I'm just going to be completely honest with you.
Number 6.
In a sharp escalation of rhetoric, President Donald Trump warned Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky that if he does not act quickly to negotiate an end to the conflict with Russia, he risks losing his country to the invasion. Let me summarize that for you. Donald Trump's out. That's basically what that means. Trump's criticism came amid growing tension between the two leaders, with Zelensky accusing Trump of embracing Russian disinformation, and Donald Trump saying, "Don't we give you a bunch of money? What are you doing?" Essentially. And look, Donald Trump is saying, "I want this thing over and I don't care how it happens." You can criticize that all you want, but Donald Trump made it very clear that's where he stood at the beginning of all of this. I'm going to end this in 24 hours. How are you going to do that? It doesn't matter. I'm sorry. You may not like that, but that's where we're at in this conversation. And Zelensky can virtue signal and get the support of the media and the Democrats all day. Doesn't matter. Trump doesn't care.
Number 5.
Independent pharmacists flooded an Alabama Senate Banking Committee hearing to discuss Senate Bill 99. You've heard about this. It involves pharmacy benefit managers and all the other things that are involved here that are putting a real squeeze on independent pharmacies and pushing them out. There's a real problem here, and there are a lot of issues. Now, there are talk of things like dispensing fees and how you mitigate that. Some argue it's a lifelong to prevent widespread closures of independent pharmacies. There were really emotional testimonies. And part of the problem is all these pharmacists are losing their pharmacies. This is a real issue. Okay? There's questions about cost and what it adds to, what gets passed down to employees during insurance premiums. Do people have to pay more? This all has to be resolved, and it has to be resolved in a way that people can easily understand. I've been saying that about this issue for a long time. It even confuses me, and I am very smart.
Number 4.
Congressional Republicans live in dread of a scary President Donald Trump and his MAGA followers, according to a bunch of unnamed sources and people familiar with the matter and sources with direct knowledge of the events. You'll notice that there's not a single human being they actually talk to who says these things, who has any real story here to say that this person said he was scared. They referenced Tom Tillis saying that he voted for Pete Hegseth because he was afraid that they were going to kill him if he didn't, which Tom Tillis never said. Just FYI. Just FYI. The alleged seriousness of this navel gazing is undercut by fears in the article by, quote, Lincoln Project donors. Oh, yeah. You know, those Republicans who are considering leaving the country, even though they're very powerful and wealthy people. Wow, humble brag. Might I suggest you leave, for your own safety? This is a BS story.
Number 3.
The Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE, revealed that the Biden-era EPA funneled $2 billion to power-forward communities. A group led by Stacey Abrams. You may know Stacey Abrams as, I think she's like the president of the universe on Star Trek or something. But she was also a multiple-time electoral loser. This nonprofit is linked to her and had $100 in revenue in 2023. And as part of a $20 billion greenhouse gas reduction fund, they gave her agency her group $2 billion before the end of the Biden presidency. They stashed that money at Citibank before Biden's exit to make sure and that she would get it. The Trump administration is trying to claw it back. This right here alone makes Doge worth every bit of chaos that is surrounding.
Number 2.
A Coleman County grand jury has branded the Hanceville Police Department, quote, a criminal enterprise, end quote, and recommended its abolition after arresting Chief Jason Marlin and 4 officers on charges including evidence tampering, computer tampering, and drug distribution. And they want the whole thing shut down. The crisis escalated with the 2024 overdose death of dispatcher Christopher Willingham, blamed on the department's negligence in a porous evidence room accessed via a broomstick through a wall hole. Okay. Sheriff Matt Gentry and DA Champ Crockett condemned the betrayal of public trust, warning that compromised evidence could jeopardize numerous prosecutions as the community reels from the fallout. You have a corrupt police department there that is in big trouble. This is the second one of these we've seen in Alabama in the last year. This is odd.
And now time for the number 1 thing you should be talking about today.
The Alabama House Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee gave a favorable report to the Laken-Riley Act. It's a bill from Ernie Yarbrough, a state representative from Trinity. The Republican offered up this bill. We all know about the Laken-Riley Act that passed in Washington, D.C. Alabama's legislature is looking to do similar things. They want to link state and federal efforts, yet it faced pushback over a requirement to determine the detainee's nationality, which I think is probably an important part of this process. If you're going to figure out if someone is in the country illegally, you need to find out, where they're at and like where they're from, right? And you guys get it? You guys understand? Okay, good. I just want to make sure I get that. State Representative Christopher England out of Tuscaloosa took the Democrat talking points and tried to put them into action. Are you ready for this? He says, ready? Let's go through it. It's unconstitutional. There's a racial profiling. It could prolong jail sentences and bog down jails by putting criminals inside. Well, okay, I don't know why that would be a problem. They don't want to do this. And Democrats have decided they want to fight these things for absolutely no reason other than, I guess they want more illegal immigrants in the state of Alabama. I don't understand that position. But again, the Republican superpower is pretty clear to see. Take a position that Americans and Alabamians are completely for, address that issue, and allow your political opponents to freak out about it. Now, they can downplay all of this and they can say, well, we've got to focus on other things. Well, then get out of the way of common sense legislation that says Alabama is not a safe space for illegal immigrants. But they want to stand in front of this and they want to fight about this kind of stuff. Go right ahead. You're going to lose. You can drag it out as long as you want, but don't whine to me about, well, why aren't we addressing X or Y or Z? Well, it's because you fought on these things that were going to pass no matter what. And instead of making them better, you just stood in the way and screamed about how it was unconstitutional. Okay, good luck on this. This will go to federal court, and the Supreme Court will rule in favor of Alabama. But if you want to fight this, go right ahead. Continue losing, because that's what you're setting yourself up for, nonstop losses. And Democrats cannot help themselves. But you can help yourself. Help yourself to the text line right now. Get in here. Fire off your questions for 10 with him. 205-545-9950. It's very simple. You can make some comments on what we've been talking about as well, or what we'll get into here in just a bit. Keep it locked right here on the fastest hour of radio anywhere on your radio dial.
You're listening to News and Views with Dale Jackson